Ukrainian command deployed some of their most lethal drone units to hunt down Russian infiltrators inside Pokrovsk, with special forces proving their effectiveness by dealing the enemy some of their worst losses in the biggest drone massacre of the war. There are decisive updates from the Pokrovsk direction. Here, the Ukrainian command deployed some of their most lethal drone units to hunt down Russian infiltrators inside Pokrovsk. The special forces proved their effectiveness by dealing the enemy some of their worst losses in the biggest drone massacre of the war. President Volodymyr Zelensky's arrival at Magyar's headquarters on the Pokrovsk front marked the moment Ukrainian drone warfare entered an intensified phase. He came specifically to visit every major drone unit operating in this sector, from the 1st Azov Corps and the 25th Airborne to the 7th Rapid Response, Rubizh, and others, to ensure they had every tool needed to hunt down Russian forces. Both Zelensky and Commander-in-Chief Syrsky issued the same directive: finish off the Russians in Pokrovsk, and what followed proved the order had landed with absolute clarity. The 414th Brigade Birds of Magyar was deployed to counter Russian attempts to reinforce their forces inside Pokrovsk. The Russian command continues using the tactic of infiltration, and footage shows that now most of the soldiers are moving alone, trying to use the terrain and every advantage to hide, hoping Ukrainian operators will not spend drones on single soldiers. Yet the images prove that the Ukrainian operators are following the order strictly, tracking and destroying even single soldiers, targeting them as many times as needed to be sure they are dead. The Birds of Magyar reported 8,005 Russian troops eliminated in October alone, proving how unstoppable their operators have become. With just one clip showing 39 Russian soldiers, 6 motorcycles, and a quad bike destroyed, infiltrators hunted day and night, and even soldiers hiding under rubble or inside garages found and neutralized. Magyar's fighters have turned the entire southern perimeter of Pokrovsk into a drone-dominated kill zone. Anything that moves is targeted, and anything that hides is found in the massacre. Alongside them, Ukraine's main intelligence directorate deployed its elite special forces with the specific task to clear those Russians already inside the town, a decision that immediately altered the balance of the battle. Its drone operators are among the most skilled, and once they joined the fight for Pokrovsk, Russian losses skyrocketed. Around 500,000 energy customers in eastern Ukraine's occupied Donetsk region were left without power on Monday morning, following what Kremlin-installed officials in the area described as Ukrainian drone attacks on the electrical grid. The enemy tried to damage energy infrastructure using strike drones last night. Denis Pushilin, the Moscow-backed head of the Donetsk region, wrote on his Telegram channel. Pushilin said that the cities of Donetsk, Makivka, Horlivka, and Yasinuvata were still without power, but added that emergency crews managed to restore electricity in Horlivka and parts of Donetsk and Makivka later in the morning. State media reported late-night blackouts across 4 districts in the regional capital, Donetsk. Meanwhile, pro-Ukrainian Telegram channels claimed that a fire had broken out at the Chaikine electrical substation near Makivka. Russia's largest tank manufacturer, Uralvagonzavod, is cutting roughly 10% of its workforce, with some divisions losing up to half their staff. The facility builds and repairs most of Russia's main battle tanks, including the T-90M and T-72 series that make up nearly 80% of its active armored fleet. Sanctions are blocking Western optics, fire control systems, high-grade alloys, and machine tools. Without these components, production lines are idling. Workshop activity has dropped 33% compared to last winter. The company is already behind on tank deliveries. A 10% staff reduction means 25 to 30 fewer tanks repaired or produced each month, reducing frontline availability by hundreds over a year. The 50% cuts in some divisions would push output back to pre-war levels, erasing 2 years of industrial mobilization. The same pattern is emerging across Russia's defense sector. Plants in Tula and Bryansk have halted production several days weekly due to missing parts. Workers in Izhevsk report wage delays up to 2 months. Ammunition factories that ran 24-hour shifts are now cutting back to 2. Aerospace facilities are postponing engine deliveries because of alloy shortages. Russia has workers but nothing to build with. The layoffs reveal that sanctions have cut off the materials and components defense factories need. The mobilization boom is reversing into contraction driven by exhaustion, shortages, and overextension. Russian arms exports have significantly decreased due to the war in Ukraine and strong competition in the arms market. The Moscow Times reported on this, citing a statement from Sergei Chemezov, CEO of the state corporation Rostec, made at the Dubai Air Show. According to the data released by Chemezov, Russia previously earned about $14 billion in foreign currency annually from arms exports. However, as early as 2022, the volumes had decreased to roughly half, and by 2024, the number of purchasing countries had dropped from 47 to 33. If in 2018 to 2022, Russian supplies went to 47 countries, then in 2024 they went to 33. Asia and Oceania accounted for 74% of Russian exports, Africa for 12%, and Europe for 7.4%. At the same time, India remains Russia's largest arms buyer, accounting for 38% of its sales. It is followed by China, 17%, and Kazakhstan, 11%. The publication notes, citing CPRI data. Meanwhile, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, CPRI, Russia's share of the global arms market has fallen from 21% to 7.8% over the past 5 years. Chemezov acknowledged that the sanctions imposed on Rostec since February 2022 have affected both the corporation's defense and civilian divisions. Despite this situation, the head of Rostec expressed confidence that export supplies will recover. According to him, the corporation is expanding its production capacity and will soon be able to meet not only the internal needs of the Russian armed forces, but also restore external deliveries. Militarny previously reported that internal documentation from the Rostec Corporation reveals the real cost of weapons and the pricing scheme of Russian export contracts. Ukraine lost 4 F-16s in the first 10 months of operations. Ground crews were learning to work with jets designed for pristine NATO air bases, not highway strips with Russian missiles incoming. Now, 0 F-16s lost since June. One ground crew launched enough jets to fire 45 missiles in a single night, all while Russian munitions flew overhead, exploding 100 meters away. The survival technique: disperse into small teams, work at night, launch fast, hide. Prepare the plane, put the pilot in it, and hide in the shelter, one maintainer said. Ukraine just ordered 250 Swedish Gripens to eventually replace these F-16. The Gripen was designed from the start for exactly this kind of rough field highway strip warfare. Ukraine is succeeding with the wrong tool until the right one arrives.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.